Hello, Jeff Helvin here with Ballen Brands, and today I'm going to answer a question we get asked from time to time, which is, can I use Elementor on my Gutenberg website? So what does that even mean? So we're talking about WordPress websites here, and WordPress by default installs a platform called Gutenberg, and that is a page editor. It's not meant so much for design, layout, but it does help with some of our different elements, such as placing images, centering text, how we can move things around. So it is a little bit of a layout for pages, but not so much of a design. So we'll talk a little bit about what that means. Elementor, however, is a design builder, design editor. It is actually intended for more flexible, more interactive design features. So we're going to take a look at what that means today. So right now I have our website pulled up, ballenbrands.com. And we do have Elementor installed on Ballen Brands, and it is controlling all of the different elements of our template, our page layout, things of that nature. So when I'm logged in, I can actually see this Edit with Elementor option. And this gives me options to manage the header, the footer, the overall site settings, things like that. And this is actually clickable as well. You'll see when I hover over it, it gives me a little thing. So that means this page is actually built in Elementor. Now let me give you a kind of a comparison what I mean by that. So here's a recent blog post that we've had posted. And if I hover over Elementor, notice how my cursor does not turn into a hand. That's because this page itself, the content of this page is not built in Elementor. It's actually using Gutenberg. So we're going to take a look at that. But it does still have the header and footer is still controlled, and the overall page layout is, meaning the elements around the page, not the actual content on the page, is controlled by Elementor. So those are all different pieces. So we're going to take a look at that a little bit further, like I said, to kind of help make some sense there. So first things first, if I go back to, actually let me go back to the home page here. And if I click here, Edit with Elementor, you're going to see what happens is that it pulls up my entire home page in the Elementor Screen Builder. And so, or Design Builder, I'm sorry. So the purpose of this here is to, you'll see here I can edit the header, and then we have this content on the page. So we have little recent posts, we've got what our clients are saying. So we've got all these different elements that are on the page that I can control through here because the page itself is built using the Elementor Design Editor, not just the overall template and theme. Okay, so let me show you again the comparison there. So when I open this page up, you'll see it has all of that there. So let me go back. We're going to go back to that blog post, and I'm going to click here. Again, I can't click Edit with Elementor because it's not even an option, okay, because this page was not built. I'm going to go ahead and click Edit Post. And this is now bringing up the Gutenberg interface. So this is Gutenberg, and you can see here we've got, titles, we've got paragraphs. All of this is done using Gutenberg blocks. So it's not unlike the Elementor widgets, but it is a little bit different because, again, a lot less control. This is a little more like a word processing document, whereas Elementor, again, is much more of a design layout type tool. So if you simply have content and you don't really need extravagant layout, then using Gutenberg is just fine. It kind of reduces the amount of code you're using on the page it generates. So there is no like right or wrong option or one's better than the other necessarily. It's really going to be what you prefer to use and the tools that you have and what your overall goals are. If you're looking to have more interactive features, maybe some scrolling banners, things like that you want to be able to place in here, well then Elementor is a good option. But if we're simply doing text, it's more informational, we're placing some images and adding some links, well then Gutenberg is just fine to do it that way. Okay, so we're going to take a look here at, just as an example, so you'll notice a button here that says Edit with Elementor. So if I click that button, what it does is it's actually going to pull in all of the content that I already had in the Gutenberg interface, and it's going to load it up here on this page. It has now turned it into basically it opened up the Elementor editor, and all it's done is it's taken this blog post, right, this content that we've put in the page, and it put it all into one little single text editor. So nothing real extravagant or fancy, but you'll see over here how it all just kind of loads up right here in this little text editor. So that's a way to kind of convert a Gutenberg post into an actual Elementor page. But again, I wouldn't necessarily want to do that unless I have the motivation to use, let's say I want to, use some special features. Buttons and videos, we can do that in Gutenberg, that's fine. Google Maps is a cool little widget. We've got these different posts and portfolio options that we can do in here. So there's some things, price list, right? Depending on what you want in the page, you might find better results with the Elementor page editor. But in this case, again, just content and so forth, not really necessary to go all the way in and make it an Elementor post itself. Okay, so again, to kind of recap this, Elementor is a plugin that's built and actually gets installed on top of your standard WordPress Gutenberg website. Okay, so even if you have Elementor, you still have Gutenberg. Whether you choose to use Gutenberg or not is really up to you, but it's still baked into the foundation of WordPress itself. So again, a lot of different options. It's a great tool. There's other ones like WP Bakery and things like that. There are also design editors, and we find that Elementor is the most user-friendly, SEO features, that kind of thing that works for us. So that's why we choose to build. So when you buy a website with Ballen Brands, typically by default, you're going to have Elementor installed. We do offer you the Pro license as well as part of our website build. So you have all the Pro features of Elementor, which is really nice. And again, doesn't mean you can't use Gutenberg. If you're used to Gutenberg, you already have Gutenberg or something like that, this is something that can be installed on top of that. So if you have any questions on that, by all means, you can reach out to us at team@ballenbrands.com.